Now we look at the use of the definite article the. Now the is used before a noun which is repeated after it has been introduced once. Like, I have a dog. The dog's name is Sally. Or, I met a girl. The girl's name is Sarah. Or, a cow is grazing in the field. The cow belongs to the farmer. So, the definite article, the, is used before a noun which is repeated later. It has been introduced once. Okay, that's use of the definite article. The use of the definite article the. First type. The is used. The is used before a noun. Before a noun, which is repeated. Which is repeated after it has been introduced once. Introduced once. The example. Let's look at the examples for you to know. I have a dog. I have a dog. The dog's name is Sally. The dog's name is Sally. Another one. I met a girl. I met a girl. Okay? The girl's name is. The girl's name is Sarah. Another one you have. A cow. A cow was grazing. A cow was grazing in the field. The cow. The cow belonged to the farmer. To the farmer. We are looking at the use of the definite article the. Now, the is used before a noun which is repeated after it has been introduced once. Okay. I have a dog. So we are talking about the dog. We finish saying the dog's name. The dog's name is Sally. I met a girl. The girl's name is Sarah. A cow was grazing in the field. The cow belonged to. So, the definite article the is used before a noun which is repeated after it has been introduced. I have a dog. I met a girl. A cow is grazing the field. Finish introducing. Now we are talking about it. Okay? So, the dog's name, the dog, the girl's name, the cow belong to the farmer. That's the first type. Now, in the second type, let's look at. In the second type, the use of the definite article. When we speak of a particular person or thing, the use of the is used when you speak of a particular person or thing. That's the second type. The is used. The is used when we speak of particular persons or things. Okay, your examples are, let's look at the examples. 1. The girls you mentioned are absent today. We are speaking about particular persons or things. The girls, particular person, girls you mentioned, the girls you mentioned, the girls you mentioned are absent today, are absent today. And the next example I have here for you, Radha saw the house which once belonged to her. Radha saw. Radha saw the house. The house. The house which once belonged to her. Okay. Now, let's look at it. We're looking at the examples of this. Okay. The is used again when we speak of a particular persons or things. Okay. The girls you mentioned, are absent today. Radha saw the house which once belonged to her. You see, so in the definite use of definite article the, in the first category you have the name had been repeated, and then after it has been introduced once, then you use the dog's name, the girl's name, the cow. In the second here you have the is used when we speak of a particular person or thing. The girls you mentioned. Radha saw the house which belonged to her once. In the use of the definite article the third type is when a singular the is used when a singular noun is meant to represent a whole class, person or thing. When you talk about, say, let's say flowers in general, let's talk about animals in general, or girls in general, or a washing machine, things in general. So when you talk about a noun which is meant to represent the whole class, person or thing, then the definite article, the, is used. Okay, so the third type. The is used. The is used when a singular noun, when a singular noun is meant to represent is noun meant to represent a whole, noun is meant to represent a whole class of persons, whole class of persons or things, Now your examples are the rose smells sweet. The rose smells sweet. Okay. Next you have the dog. The dog is a faithful animal. And the third you have the girl child is often the girl child. The girl child is often neglected. In India. And you have one more, the washing machine, the washing machine is now a necessity. Okay. We're talking about the is used when a singular noun is meant to represent a whole class of persons or things. Okay. Now, the rose, class of persons or things. When you talk about the rose, the flower. The rose smells sweet. The dog is a faithful animal. The girl child is often neglected in India. The washing machine, now a necessity. So it's used to represent a whole class of persons or things. When you talk about the girl child, all the girl children in India. When you talk about here, things, washing machine. Here when you talk about roses, here animals. So the is used when a singular noun, rose, dog, girl, washing machine, they are all singular nouns meant to represent a whole class of persons or things. Then the is used, the definite article. In the next one we have the is used before geographical terms. When you say the Ganges, the Himalayas. Now, to these you also have exceptions. The is not used with the nouns man and woman, used to denote the whole class. You don't say the man, but here we have said the girl. So this we have to remember. What is the exception? This we need to remember. Exception. Now this exception is the is not used. The is not used. The is not used with the nouns, with the nouns. The is not used with the nouns man and woman. Man and woman, the is not used. Okay. When used to denote, when used to denote, when used to denote the whole class, the whole class, like all the men, all the women. Okay, so in this case, we say that the is not used with the nouns the man and the woman. This is an exception and we have to remember. Okay, and in the next category we have the is used before geographical terms. The is used, the is used before geographical terms. Like we have examples. Like we will say the Ganga, the Ganga, river Ganga. Or we'll say the Bay of Bengal, the Bay of Bengal. Or we will say the Arabian Sea, the Arabian Sea. Or we'll say the Himalayas, the Himalayas, the Himalayas. Then we will say the Andamans, the Andamans. Then you will say the Pacific Ocean. So, look at the examples here. The is used before geographical terms like the Ganga, the Himalayas, the Bay of Bengal, the Andamans, the Arabian Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Now, we have three types I put up here. First, the is used when a singular noun meant to represent a whole class of person or thing. That is, the rose, singular noun. Rose, dog, girl. Okay, washing machine. The washing machine, the girl. The exception here, we have an exception to this. Here, the is not used, we said singular noun. Singular noun, man and woman. The exception is, the is not used with the nouns man and woman when used to denote her whole class. That's an exception. So in the fourth category, we have the is used before geographical terms like the Ganga, the Himalayas, the Bay of Bengal, the Andamans, the Arabian Sea, the Pacific. Then we can say the earth, the sun, anything to do with the nature. We have the sky. We have to use the. Now we are talking about the definite article the. In the fifth category, the definite article the is used before the names of newspapers and sacred books. Before the use of names of newspapers and sacred books. The is used. The is used before the names of newspapers and sacred books. And sacred books. Okay. Let's look at the examples like the Vedas. You will say the Vedas, the Ramayana, the Ramayana, the Bible, then you will say the Quran, then for the newspaper you will say the Times of India, the Times of India. You'll say the Hindu, the Hindu paper. You saw? So what we are looking at is, in the fifth category, the is used before the names of newspapers, sacred books. Newspapers and sacred books, the definite article, the is used. Then we will say the Vedas, the Ramayana, the Bible, the Quran. That's the sacred books. Papers, you will say the Times of India, the Hindu, and whatever the other newspapers, the definite articles, the is used. Okay, and the next one, we have the sixth type. The sixth type we have, the definite article, the is used before the name of an object which is the only one of its kind. Now, you will say, example, the earth, only one earth, the sky, the moon, the sun, the equator. There's only one of its kind. So, the is used before an object which is only one of its kind. Okay, the is used. The is used before the name of, before, the name, before the name of an object which is only one of its kind, one of its kind. Now let's look at the examples. You will say the earth. You will say the earth. Then you will say the sky. The sky. You will say the moon. The moon. The sun. You will say the planets. The planets. The stars. The stars. And then you will say the equator. Okay, so we are talking about the definite article. The definite article, the is used before the name of an object which is only one of its kind. So we say the earth, the planet, the sky, the stars, the equator, the moon, and the sun. That's it. Next category, the sixth type. Finished. Sixth is the is used before the name of any object, it's only one of its kind. Then the definite articles, the is used before the names of groups belonging to different countries and religion, like the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, the Germans, the Italians. Okay, so the definite article, the is used before the names of groups belonging to different countries or religions. Okay, the is used. The is used before the names, before the names of groups belonging to different countries or religions. Then the is used. Example. What are the examples? You will say the Hindus. The Hindus. You will say the Muslims. You will say the Indians or the Germans. The Germans. And goes on. Okay, so we are talking about the definite article the is used before the names of group belonging to different countries or religions. Example, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Indians, the Germans, then you can say the Christians, you can also say the Americans. Okay, the Americans. The definite article the is used before names of newspapers and sacred books, the Vedas, the Ramayana, the Bible, the Quran, the Times of India, the Hindu. The sixth category, the definite article. The is used before the name of an object which is only one of its kind. Then you say the earth, the sky, the moon, the sun, the planets, the stars, the equator. Then seventh category, the is used before the names of groups belonging to different countries and religions. Examples, what are the examples? Examples are the Hindus, the Muslims, the Indians, the Germans, the Christians, the Americans. Then what else you can say? The Italians, any country, any religion, you can go on. So, we are the usage of the definite article, the.